Hello, welcome back. Thank you for pressing play once again. As last time, I hope that this video finds you and your loved ones safe and well. It is Easter Monday here in London, and the weather's just about holding. We've had ridiculously beautiful sunshine, really warm and gorgeous, and so I hope for those of you who have been able to enjoy it, I hope you've enjoyed it, and for those of you who haven't, I really hope that you're able to get out and about again soon. This time we have a lovely spiced apple chutney. So the quantities are slightly more moderate in this recipe. Some people were a bit anxious about the sheer amount of sugar that was needed, which is obviously understandable for the dried apricot jam because it is a lot, and in fact I had some anxiety about that myself. I had a little miniature meltdown because I was like, I've just used all of this sugar and what if I can't find any when I do my food shopping this week? So there's no need to worry about that this week. Everything should be quite easily findable in your weekly food shop if you do decide to make it. Also, I know some people were a little bit anxious about perhaps not having a jam thermometer, which is completely understandable, and this chutney recipe does not need a jam thermometer. This is my favourite chutney recipe and it always goes down very well with my family whenever I make it and give it as gifts. So today, yeah, we have a spiced apple chutney. You're going to start with 225 grams of onions. There's a bit of skin still in there, sorry. Onion skin, not human skin. 225 grams of onions. This is just one large onion chopped. You don't have to be too precise with chutney. The whole point is kind of throw it in, let it cook, and enjoy. 900 grams of chopped apples. Again, any kind of apples that you can get your hands on, and 110 grams of raisins, sultanas or chopped dates. Again, whatever's in your cupboard, whatever's in the shop. 15 grams each of salt, ground coriander, mixed spice, and paprika. Now I've only got super spicy paprika because I made a mistake last time I was buying paprika, and every time I cook with it, it invariably ends up with us going for about 3 hours afterwards. So I've substituted it with a bit of mild chili powder and we'll see what happens. A mere 340 grams of granulated sugar. That's better, isn't it? Better than 1.5 kilos. And 425 ml of malt vinegar. Okay, the next bit's really tricky. You throw it all in and you put the heat on. In go the onions. In goes the fruit. Again, I'm using my biggest pan. This is just the largest of an IKEA set that we were actually given by some housemates who were moving back to New Zealand when we were about to move into our first flat. So thank you, Aaron and Venus. In goes the sugar. In go the spices. And in goes the vinegar. Smells nice already. Just a tip, if you are, if you have a small dwelling place, like we do, shut the doors to the other rooms, like the bedroom and the living room, and if it's warm enough, maybe open the kitchen door or window, because it's going to smell quite vinegary. The first time I made this, the whole flat just smelled of vinegar. The chutney was lovely, but vinegar is quite an invasive smell, got in my hair and everything. Okay, we're going to mix it up. Mixy, mixy, mixy. Put the heat on. Oops, wrong hob. Quite a high heat because you want to bring it to the boil at first. Okay, so it's all mixed up. Lovely. And now you're bringing it to the boil. Alright. Jars, once again. So as you can see here, this makes, according to the recipe, which is another BBC Good Food recipe, and I will put the link in the show notes, it makes 4 to 6 jars. Obviously I've got very different sized jars. So this jar is going to take a considerably different amount of chutney to this jar. I think this jar might have originally had honey in it, and this had like cashew nut butter or something. It's one of those Meridian ones. So, actually I've just noticed I need to wash that again. And there's the small one, as always, for the last few kind of dregs. Again, just put the lids just in front of them so that you know exactly which one corresponds to each jar. I'm going to wash that one. Okay, so as it's coming to the boil, you want to kind of keep stirring it just to make sure that all the sugar is dissolved, just like we did with the jam, and that everything's nice and mixed in, because that is what will make your chutney really good. Make sure that flavours are nice and evenly distributed. I think the most labour intensive part of making chutney is just prepping the stuff that goes in it. I don't know, it took me maybe 10-15 minutes to chop all the apples and the onion and weigh out and measure out the other things. You don't need to be standing over it the whole time, but maybe don't go and talk to your succulents yet. You will have ample opportunities to do that once it's come to the boil and you've turned it down to a simmer. In the meantime, I'm going to eat some of my Easter chocolate. Ciao! Okay, so my chutney is boiling nicely. I just wonder if I can turn it a bit for you. It's not going to boil like jam. It doesn't puff up massively like that. So it's going to stay nice and contained within its pan. You're not going to have to watch it too much. So now that it's bubbling away enthusiastically, I'm going to turn the heat right down. Actually, I'm going to put it on the smallest hole. And allow it to simmer for 1.5 to 2 hours. So I'm going to put the timer on for 1.5 hours and then come back in an hour and a half and sterilise the jars. You will want to stir it occasionally, so maybe come back every roughly every 15 minutes or so, whenever you think, whenever you walk past, just to make sure that it's not sticking to the bottom and to give it a good stir. But otherwise, you are completely at your liberty to do whatever you want for the next hour and a half. Talk to your succulents, read, Skype your family, lie in a darkened room, philosophize, write a novel. See you later. Okay, so it's been about an hour and 20 minutes, and my chutney, I will show you a close-up in a minute, but I've heated the oven to 150 degrees, and so we're going to pop our jars in. And they need about 15-20 minutes to sterilize. Okay, so your chutney should be looking really nice and kind of mushy and dark brown and glossy. I just need to figure out how to adjust the camera so that you can see into the pan. Bear with me. Okay, it's making a lovely pleasant bubbling sound. Now, you can tell it's done when you put a spoon in it and it leaves a little trail behind. Can you see? You can kind of see a bit of the bottom of the pan. So, I don't know what you decided to do during a couple of hours of the chutney bubbling, but I've been knitting these little hearts, which when I go out to do my grocery shopping on Wednesday, I will put them into a dated sterile Ziploc bag and drop them off with someone who organises the local knitting group, which incidentally I've never actually been to because I just haven't had the time, but it's amazing how these kinds of crisis communities, if you like, are popping up. And they've got the domestic arts at their core, which is just glorious. Okay, 10 minutes. Sing to your chutney if you want. Let me know if you think of a chutney song. All I could think of was a very embarrassing, is it Westlife song? Oh, chutney. You don't need to know. You're the first thing that I thought of making, then I gave you away. Stop. Alright, so my jars are sterilised, my chutney is ready. I've got my little baking parchment circles again. Again, if you don't have these, it's not critical, although obviously the chutney having vinegar in it and the tops, the lids, if they are metal, if they're left for a very, very, very long time in the cupboard, the vinegar might kind of corrode the metal. But I think they would have to be left for a really very long time. If you have plastic lidded jars, not a problem. But obviously a lot of us are trying to avoid plastic at the moment. Still, reuse your glass jars that have plastic lids. It's a good idea. As you can see, I'm also wearing my domestic goddess pinny because I have a white jumper on and chutney is brown and I am clumsy. So, get the jars out the oven. Oh, one of them fell over. But it's okay. And then, just like last time, you have your jar, your ladle, your spoon, your cloths to protect your hands, your sticky labels, and your Sharpie. Okay. Brown and chutney like. It smells incredible. Really, really yummy. Blop, blop, blop. Ugh. Obviously, this is going to be quite a lot thicker and chunkier than jam, so you may need to kind of guide it into the jars a little bit. The same principle applies with filling it. So fill the jar to within 3 to 5 millimeters of the top of the neck. Pop your circle on and pop the lid on, and as it retracts again, this will create the vacuum. So it can be quite nice if you're kind of in the kitchen as these are cooling down, and if you've got a jar with one of the poppy lids, as it contracts and cools, you can sometimes hear them go pop. And that's quite nice because then you know it's definitely created a seal. Continue with the rest of your jars until you have no chutney left. Alright, so here we have 3.5 jars of yummy, scrummy, spiced apple chutney. The half jar, once it's cool, I'll just put in the fridge and we'll use it for sandwiches and cheese on toast and things. Yeah, the rest of them will be labelled and good to go in the cupboard and given away as gifts or just eaten. Depends how long this lockdown goes on for. Okay. Thank you so much for indulging me yet again. Happy chutney making. Again, if you do decide to make this, that's incredible and thank you so much. And if you also, amidst your making, feel like taking a little photo or a little video of your chutney making, maybe your family making chutney together, or making chutney for your neighbours who are in isolation or something, I don't know, then yeah, please send them to me at cmurr004@gold.ac.uk, and I will be absolutely delighted, and they will feature on the blog, one for the cupboard, which can be found at jamculture.food.blog, but I will definitely double check that and put it in the show notes. Thank you so much for watching again. Stay safe, stay well, and happy chutney making.